Welcome back to Forgotten Genocides, the unquenchable inferno where we drag the buried horrors into the merciless light. Today we plunge bayonet deep into the abyss with Forgotten War Crimes, the Japanese Atrocities in Nanjing. The 6-week apocalypse of December 1937, January 1938 that transformed the Paris of the East into a slaughterhouse of 300,000 souls, a rape of a city so savage it scorched the conscience of the world. Imagine it. Ancient walls cradling centuries of poetry and porcelain. Families feasting under lantern-lit alleys, the Yangtze murmuring lullabies of life, ripped asunder by the Imperial Japanese Army's descent into demonic delirium. Over the next minutes, we'll hack through the hell. The fall of the capitals cradled the rape of 80,000 women and girls, the bayoneting of babies, the beheading contests, the rivers choked with corpses, the world's averted gaze that still reeks of complicity. Viewer discretion? This reckoning will flay your heart alive, its education baptized in the blood of Nanjing's innocence, a roar that demands your rage and your remorse. If the 300,000 feet seconds unfinished screams stab your silence, subscribe now and surge with us. Let's lacerate the legacy of the Rape of Nanking, or let its ghost devour us whole. To unmask this monster, we must unearth the festering foundation, not the sanitized Sino-Japanese conflict of textbooks, but the venom of Bushido twisted into barbarism. Pre-1937 China. A fractured giant, Chang Keshek's nationalists, clinging to Nanjing as capital. Yet the Japanese Kwantong Army had already devoured Manchuria in 1931, puppeteering Manchukuo while the world yawned at the League of Nations. Let the annals asphyxiate? The Marco Polo Bridge incident of July 1937, a staged spark that ignited full invasion, Shanghai's inferno claiming 200,000 lives in 3 months of fire and fury. By December 13, 1937, Nanjing Felchung fled, leaving a city of 1 million defenseless. General Matsui Iwain's orders: punish the Chinese army, a euphemism for extermination embrace. The deadliest in its domestic delirium. Soldiers ordered to kill all captives, bayonets sharpened for a carnival of cruelty that turned disciplined troops into demons. Up to that precipice, Unit 731's plague experiments in Pingfang were rehearsals of horror. But Nanjing, supernova of savagery, the deadliest because it dared the divine in daylight, a capital crucified while cameras captured the carnage. Feel the fracture? This wasn't war, it was a rape of civilization, the rising sun eclipsed by rivers of blood. December 13, 1937, the gates breached, and hell poured in like the Yangtze flood. What the wire reports whisper away. The Rape of Nanking, not metaphor, but literal apocalypse. 20,000, 80,000 women and girls, ages 8 to 80, dragged from homes, gang-raped in streets, bayoneted through wombs when used up, mothers forced to watch daughters defiled, then violated themselves, incest weaponized, fathers compelled at gunpoint to rape their own before the blade. Iris Chang The Rape of Nanking unearthed diaries of horror. Japanese officers competing in 100-man killing contests, heads rolling like melons, bodies dumped in the Kinway River till it ran thicker than water. Up to 300,000 massacred civilians, machine-gunned in courtyards. Prisoners bound and burned alive, babies tossed on bayonets like playthings. The safety zone, 3.8 square kilometers, guarded by 22 foreigners. John Rabe, the good Nazi of Nanjing, shielding 250,000 with swastika armbands, became islands in an ocean of atrocity. Yet even there, Japanese soldiers stormed hospitals, raping nurses before patients' eyes, the deadliest in its domestic desecration. Neighbors betrayed for a loaf of bread, Buddhist monks beheaded in temple sanctuaries, the air acrid with the stench of burning flesh and shattered sanctity. Imagine the intimacy of infamy: classmates, clubbing classmates, lovers separated by sword and semen. A city's soul flayed in 6 weeks of sadism. This wasn't conquest. It was a carnival of corpses. Nanjing's name forever, Nanjing's nightmare. The children's cataclysm in Nanjing wasn't footnote, was the foulest felony. A kindergarten of killers where innocence was impaled on imperial steel, what the casualty counts compressed to cold statistics. Up to 50,000 children slaughtered, toddlers bayoneted in mothers' arms, infants swung by ankles, and dashed against walls, their skulls cracking like eggs in a contest of cruelty. Japanese soldiers, drunk on sake and supremacy, staged bayonet practice on bound boys, laughing as blood painted the pavement. The deadliest in its diabolical cradle robbery, orphans herded to the river, drowned in droves, their tiny hands reaching for mothers already mutilated. Minivatran, the goddess of Nanjing, guarded 10,000 women and girls at Jinling College, barricading gates with her body as soldiers scaled walls, yet hundreds were dragged screaming into the night, the air thick with the stench of burning babies, thrown alive into pits when bullets were too precious. Up to 300,000 total. Nanjing's harvest of horror. A genocide within a war that scaled from slaughter to spectacle, the deadliest because it dared the divine in daylight. Turning the cradle of Chinese civilization into a cemetery of the innocent, feel their final flutter? A generation gutted before it could grow, their absence an ache that aches through eternity. The world's whimper in Nanjing was an ignorance. It was iniquity incarnate, a global gaffe that gilded the genocide with guilt. What the diplomatic dispatches dissemble? The safety zone's 22 heroes. Rabe, McGee, Wilson, filming the carnage, smuggling reels to the world. Yet Roosevelt's America, entangled in isolationism, muffled the outcry. Britain's business as usual with Japan, even as corpses clogged the Yangtze. The League of Nations, a toothless tiger, its condemnations as empty as Nanjing's streets. Up to 300,000 in 6 weeks, faster than Rwanda's rampage, while Tokyo's papers crowed of victory, denying the deluge. The deadliest in its dawning denial, Emperor Hirohito's blessing. The Imperial Army's code of silence. Post-war America's embrace of Japan against communism, burying the butchers in bureaucracy. This wasn't oversight, it was obscenity. A genocide that scaled from streets to state secrecy. The world watching with wired windows while Nanjing burned. Feel the farce. A city convulsed while capitals clinked champagne. The Yangtze muddied with the mud of mass murder. The genocide's ghost goading us to gaze inward at our own genocidal gaze. Nanjing's, nadir of naders. Not the kill count's cold calculus, but the nadir of neglect that nurtured the nightmare 300,000 eviscerated in emerald enclaves. A genocide that scaled from whispers to worldwide wailing in weeks, the deadliest in its democratic delusion. Soldiers neighbored into butchers. Bayonets spraying the rhetoric of rats, the world watching with wired windows. Feel the finality? Families flenged in front yards, fiddles forever silenced in Nanjing's nights, futures flayed from the flesh of the fledgling. The scale, a black hole of brotherhood, where 80,000 women violated became comfort in hell's ledger, where the Kinway ran red for months. But in this void valor vaulted. John Rabe's swastika shield saving 250,000. Minivatran's diary, a dagger against denial. Iris Chang's 1997 asterisk, The Rape of Nanking asterisk, a resurrection of the ravaged. Up to 300 mass graves unearthed, their bones a bellow for the billions who turned blind. The deadliest because it dared the divine in daylight. A democracy devouring its daughters, yet from its depths. A phoenix forged in Jing's rebirth. Memorials rising from massacre sites. A genocide that birthed a bomb for the broken world. How can we behold such blackness without breaking? The walls themselves weep blood, the deadliest genocide not in death's tally, but in the daring to dream of division. A dirge that demands we dance in unity or dissolve in discord. Nanjing's legacy? A laceration on liberty's ledger? Birthing the Nanjing Massacre Memorial? Japan's half-hearted apologies? A nation stitched from the shreds of Signome survivors like Shia Shukin, witnessing her family's slaughter at age 8. Testifying till her last breath in 2023. Yet shadows stalk, denial's daggers in Tokyo's textbooks, the world's whisper of never again wilting in whimpers. The untold. Survivors' unbreaking alchemy, Louis Smythe's reports, John McGee's forbidden films, Iris Chang's suicide in 2004, a sacrifice to the weight of witness. Sources: Iris Chang's asterisk, The Rape of Nanking asterisk, for the marrow of misery. John Rabe's diaries, for the light in darkness. Chinese and Japanese archives, for the unvarnished verdict. If this apocalypse annihilated your illusions, if Nanjing's 300,000 ghosts grip your gut like a vice like this video, unleash your lament in comments. Which thread of this tapestry of terror tugs hardest at your heart? Share to scorch the shadows. Subscribe to Forgotten Genocides for more maelstroms like our next mauling of the Bosnian bloodbath. Thank you for withstanding the whirlwind with us. In their undying light, we defy the dark.